friendly reminder, RGT does not hate Xbox. I am still currently playing Avowed. I am now 26 hours into the game. I'm in the final area. The combat is still very fun and very satisfying. Not the greatest game in the world, but I'm having a good time with it, exploring these vast lands of mystery and magic. But I bring up Avowed because I feel like Avowed is kind of similar to what we're talking about today, because you might remember Avowed originally wasn't supposed to be a 2025 game. It was supposed to be a late 2024 game, but Xbox decided to delay the game into 2025 with the reasoning being, well, they were worried about your backlog. That literally was the reason. I don't care what anyone says. That was the reason that the company themselves gave us as to why the game was delayed. Not because it needed a little bit more polish, not because of this, that, or the other, because they were concerned about your backlog. Now, a game that was scheduled for 2025 was, of course, Fable. A lot of games for Xbox in the calendar year of 2025 are a bit up in the air. Lots of people assume that Gears of War E-Day, Perfect Dark are 2025 games, but we don't really have anything to go on to sort of assume that. The only thing we have is that we've seen the game. Now, if we're taking that sort of mentality, we saw Fable many, many years ago. It's been a very long time since we actually saw more of this game. The initial trailer for Fable, of course, had that. I mean, she's not a good-looking woman. Like, I think it's okay to say that. Like, I'm not a good-looking dude. Like, I'm not trying to, date the girl in the game or anything. But, kind of a homely, unattractive woman in the initial thing. And people were like, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, okay, whatever. Is the game fun? But they gave us a bit of a teaser of some pre-alpha footage of Fable today, along with an interesting announcement. Fable is now a 2026 game. And if you know anything about me, I am not a huge fan of talking about 2026 games in February of 2025. That is a problem that I had with the Sony State of Play presentation. Fable has been delayed until 2026. Xbox did like some developer podcast thing to announce this, like a 19-minute podcast. Like, why not just put out a press release? Even if you go to Xbox's website to see kind of what is happening with this, it just shows you the video, and it's like, okay, just make a standard announcement. But Fable has been delayed until 2026. Now, no real concrete reasoning was given. I'm guessing some sort of polish, but the quote coming out from this delay is, while I know that's not maybe the news people want to hear, what I want to assure people of, it's that is definitely worth the wait. I have unequivocal confidence in the Playground team, which, I mean, we should have confidence really in no teams anymore. I think the video game landscape has proven time and time again that there are lots of disappointments and there are lots of letdowns. Now, to be fair, they did show off some new gameplay footage, some early gameplay footage of the new Fable game, and I think it looks really good. It seems like it has a lot of the charm of the original Fable games. It seems like the settings feel, different but familiar at the same time. If you've played previous Fable games, you kind of know about the setting and the world and the lore and whatnot. But what I find interesting about this and this delay is I can't help but feel that there's other reasons for it. And, when you think about Fable to begin with, Fable was really founded on a bunch of lies. Look at the original Fable game and who was involved with it. Mr. Peter Molyneux. For those younger viewers who might not know, Peter Molyneux is one of the greatest liars in video game history. He always would say, oh, the game's going to do this, that, or the other. You're going to be able to do all these things. And then when you actually get the game, much like Fable, much like Black and White, those things aren't in the game that were originally talked about. No, that's not to say the original Fable wasn't a really good game, because I definitely think it was. It had a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor. There was a lot of, customization over how your character would play out, whether you would be good or evil. Of course, you'd get the little horns if you were a bad character instead of a good character. People would react to you differently. It definitely wasn't as fleshed out as Peter Molyneux had alluded to it being, but it was a great game, a lot of fun. Now, the Fable franchise, of course, kind of overstayed its welcome as time went on, and, people kind of soured on the franchise. It didn't really evolve, and the ways that it did evolve, it evolved in things that people didn't want. So a lot of people are hoping for a somewhat return to form with Fable, the new Fable that just happens to have the same name as the old Fable. But my thing is this: when you're delaying a game of this size, I can't help but feel like you're delaying it, of course, because you want to work on it a little bit more, but because you want to work on those additional ports a little bit more. This is the feeling that I really feel like everyone has to have with any Xbox game now, is that this is going to come to other platforms as well. Maybe they need a little bit more time for the PS5 version. Maybe they want to make it so that the game is, runs good on the Nintendo Switch too. So they need a little bit more time until 2026. And it's kind of a shame, because I really feel like Xbox was setting up for what could potentially be their strongest year in a very long time, with games like Fable, and really by extension Avowed and whatever else Xbox has for this year. But Fable being the only game that was given the 2025 date to be pushed back to 2026, what does that say about other games that haven't been giving any sort of, release window? Are those games going to be 2026 too? Because if you were confident that they were going to be 2025, if you're confident that Perfect Dark is going to be a 2025 game, I mean, don't you think you would have said something by now? Is this going to be another quiet year for both Sony and Xbox? Another boring year? Some people agreed with me on that video. I saw people making videos based on what I said in that video. Some people disagreed with me in this video. But if we're already talking about games, big games for 2025 getting pushed back to 2026 in February, what does that say about the games that don't have a release window? I don't know. I just hope Fable ends up being good. I hope it ends up being good, and I get it. People are going to say, what about the Shigeru Miyamoto quote? He definitely didn't say a delayed game can be good, or a bad game is bad forever. It's like, bro, there's been so many games that have been delayed to hell that end up not being good. That's not any sort of indication of that. Like, sorry, Shigeru. I don't even think the man said the damn thing. But Fable, 2026, how are we feeling about this? Are you surprised? I'm just at the point now where I assume everything's delayed. Everything's going to get delayed from these big companies because they don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know what the hell they're doing anymore. Everything is mismatched and different directions and wrong decisions, and now you got to put pressure on other studios. The video game industry. You gotta love it, folks. You gotta love it. Let me know what you think of this in the comments section down below. What do you think about the new footage that they showed for the game as well? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.